Hey guys, welcome back to the Prescription Health and Fitness. This is your host, Coach Bricks, and I'm here with my man and co-host, Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe, what's going on, my man?
Good morning, Dave. All is well. All is well. Happy New
Awesome.
Year. Happy New Year.
It is a new time. It is definitely that. 2025 is here. So we're ready to rock, ready to roll, and ready to get people out of their chronic states of sickness and things that are going on in this world. And I figured this would be a perfect topic since we're in the heart of it, at least here in the Northeast, probably around the United States too, with all this sickness that is going on. I mean, you're probably seeing a ton of it, people coming in with coughs, colds, all that kind of stuff. So my question to you, okay, and you know I'm not a big pill guy at all. I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't go that route. My thing is, what can people do naturally at home to mitigate sickness that you're seeing, the sickness that's going on right now?
Uh, Dave, I get that question a lot, especially in the aspect of the field I'm in, prevention or preventative health. So I do get some that are already down the course of sometimes what we call disease or chronic disease with their health, but asking questions in terms of, hey, how can I, have myself healthier or working in prevention, or how do I minimize taking something? And I love when a person says, how do I minimize? I don't like to take anything. That's when I stop a person. Then that's when I say, you know what? Then do more. You're either going to have to take more or do more. There's no middle ground. And with limited time that you have with people, you have to be straight up and honest and get right to the point. So I'm a person that's as well. I like to take the minimal. I'm a minimalist in terms of what I like to put into my body. But because of that, you make sure, guess what? No matter how busy your day is, you have to get that minimum 6 hours, somewhere between 6 hours to 10 hours. You're never that important that you can't get that, because your body is first most important. How do you mitigate stress? Are you exercising just about every day, which is a true recommendation? Does our plate look like a rainbow instead of one color of some sort of palette in one food group? These things that causes us to have more accountability. Most that I see doing all those things are people that are coming in and they're on nothing, and they are not requesting nothing. There's not a need for nothing. They're better quality. It's those who have, we want, not we, most want things convenient. They want to lose weight today. It took 20 years to build it. Give me the injection to help me lose it now. I want to get better with this cold. Do I want to allow my immune system? No, I want an antibiotic because I got to get back to work tomorrow or the kids' game this evening. I need to be better and not allow the human body to take its time to get better. I want something now. Got vacation coming up. Make me look good, make me feel good. It has changed in terms of a person. Now, my goal with working with people has been more, you're right, getting back to the basics of preventional health. I have no problem with that apple a day approach, keeps the doctor away. I love to recommend the apple because I want to be there if you need, and not worried about creating a dependency. So I truly, be honest, I care less if a person comes in or not. Truly, in terms of I have no financial interest. I have a health interest. I love when I only have to see somebody once a year for their physical. I love to say, hey, I don't want to see you again till next year, but I'm here if you have a need. I love that approach where you're trying to get a person more autonomous in terms of this disease processes that, we all fight with. Every person has a disease that their body may be more sensitive to. So it's kind of educating a person towards their body, what is likely to happen, or what are you likely to prevent if you make the changes ahead of time.
I think you bring up so many good quality points there. Something that people, especially in today's society, don't want to do because they want the quick fix. They want the quick answer. They want everything here. But the human body, and I try to explain this a lot of times in my posts when I talk to people, the human body knows how to heal. You have to just guide in the right direction. Now, if you threw it off course because you've been eating bad, you don't work out, You've allowed this thing to accumulate. Like you said earlier on, I think one of the keys here that so many people miss, and I missed it early on, is that quality of sleep. You know what I mean? I think so many people miss that. That's when the body regenerates and regrows and does all the stuff it needs to do. So when you lack this stuff,
Mhm.
this is when you set yourself up. But you also said you didn't get fat overnight. It was a 20-year process of you not doing it. So why do you expect the human body then all of a sudden to turn like that? And that's what people get mad at. Then they run to you or somebody else and like, give me the pill. What I don't think people really realize, when you take a prescription pill or an antibiotic, you actually also do damage to the body later on in life, because there's another side effect that has to occur by you trying to fix one. It then causes a problem somewhere else.
Mhm.
So actually what you're doing is you can actually be making your life worse later on
Mhm.
for a quick fix, right, an immediate solution right now. And I think your approach, and you've always done this, Joe, and this is why I love you,
Yeah.
is because you take the approach of, listen, you got to do these basic things. These are the things that are going to do it. Are they easy? Going to the gym every day, especially when it was -7 degrees,
Mhm. It's
is
not
not
fun.
easy getting outside. We all know that. You know, eating the right food, like you said, the colorful plate, that's not easy. But in the long run, that's the benefit. While other people are going to be in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, they're going to struggle. You're going to be, I'm great. I feel
Yeah.
great. I didn't miss work because guess what? I didn't feel like, garbage. There's a
Mm-mm.
lot of people that are, that reach out to me, Dave, I can't make the appointment today because I'm sick. And these are some young kids.
Yeah.
This is a problem. This is an epidemic in our society. So many young people are so chronically sick, where they get sick in November, they get better for 3 or 4 weeks. You see it probably in your office.
Mhm.
Then
Mhm.
December, they're sick again. Then January and February, you're like, what the heck is going on here? This shouldn't be happening in our society.
Mhm.
But say they don't, say they do some of this stuff, right? They work it out, they do this. What else can they do? I know one of the big things that I see, um, and you see it too, is a lack of getting outside. Okay. So they're not getting the vitamin D
Yep.
that they need, that the human body naturally needs. And I understand sometimes, I mean, when it was 70 degrees, I'm standing outside, it was cold. Thank God the wind wasn't blowing, but it's cold
Yeah.
on the body. So I can understand to some extent, but too many people spend too much time inside. That's another topic. But
Mhm.
what else can they do supplement wise? Maybe not even just supplements, but what can they
Yeah.
be eating to
Hmm.
offset? Hey, I'm not getting enough vitamin D from the sun. I
Yeah.
need to get it someplace else.
Excellent, Dave. To answer that question, I often to educate a person on what we're facing against. I often a person comes in and says, "Well, I have this heart disease, I have kidney disease, I have liver disease." If you notice on the back of it, each of those terms is the word disease. I ask a person, then, do you know what a disease? Do you know what you're fighting against? To even get better, not to win a war, to win a battle, you have to know what you're up against, or you're fighting the wrong battle, in that regard. So when it comes to the word disease, I often discuss the definition, literally plain out. The definition of disease, Dave, and this is a disorder. It's a disorder of structure or function in a human, animal, or plant, okay? And it's especially one that has a known cause, okay? And a distinct group of symptoms with that causes signs, symptoms, and anatomical changes. So for that person, okay, this is a disease, is a disorder, you're right, in your structure or your function that is occurring in this human, in this person that we're talking to, that has a known cause and distinct group of symptoms. So it is a change that has a known cause, and it's exemplified by a distinct group of symptoms. That's the terminology, excuse me, of disease. Now, I often ask a then person, so what does that mean when you're saying heart disease, kidney disease? Obesity is a disease. In terms of how we look at it from a medical that is a disease. That's a disease of caloric intake that is at an excess over a person's expenditure. It is a simple addition and subtraction. If we want to maintain at zero, however much you took in, if you burn it off, the body will maintain at zero. But if day after day after day after day, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it happens day after day, we took in 2,000 calories. We really only burned off 1,800. There's a surplus of 200. No big deal. You do that again 2 days later. Okay, that went Tuesday, you balanced out at zero. Wednesday, you had another 200 caloric pound caloric intake surplus. 3,500 calories is a pound. So if your person does that over about 2.5 weeks, they put on a pound. That's nothing. 2.5 weeks. Okay, how many weeks in a year? About 52 weeks. Believe it or not, if a person just slowly, the disease process happens over a progression period of time, but it's a disorder in the structure and function. So it causes a disease in that person, okay, where it then sets off other things of their metabolism. It then hits their immune system. People don't know that obesity is one of the risk factors that, guess what, knocks down your immune system. So you're right, Dave. A person, I want to, what do I do to get healthier? I don't like these colds I'm getting every year, or my allergies are really bad. Okay, talking to a person about, well, we can get your weight down, also has a person sometimes looking to the side because they don't understand the battle we're up against. The battle we're up against is the disease that's causing the structure function change in that person. It may not be your blood pressure, it may not be your liver is great. It's your weight, it's your sugars, it's your emotional health. I get a lot of people, they come in and they're sick, and I ask them, what has changed? Nothing has changed, Doc. I'm nothing. Nothing. What's going on at work? Well, I'm fine. What's going on at home? My husband, we're going through a divorce. Oh, okay. I understand that may not be the direct cause, or you think of the structure that what's changing in your structure and function and causing the disease. But guess what? Your immune system now has to use some of its energy. Your body has to use some of its energy reserves to fight and keep you emotionally stable to be able to deal with. So it can't fight off this normal virus that your body would have, guess what, just maybe fought on its own, and you wouldn't have exhibited the symptoms and signs of those changes. The last part of that definition. So I often ask a person, Dave, when it comes to disease, yes, what does that mean? And how do we change, as you were asking the question, what can people do? How do we change that structure or that function or get back to some of the basics? Before we got on today, I actually looked into what, many go to the CDC, the government agency, to kind of, hey, make recommendations for overall health, and supposed to have like a non-biased view. Wanted to see, hey, what does the CDC have to say about chronic disease? Okay, listed the same definition. Not only that, but then it listed chronic disease in the middle, and these things that affect chronic disease. That here's, Dave, where I start to hit and start to hurt a little people: excessive alcohol use, tobacco use, poor nutrition, physical inactivity. Okay, it didn't name, and I'm not saying it should. It didn't name anything about prescriptions or side effects. It was naming the things that truly cause chronic disease, that tells a person or a clinician or somebody you're working, if you can help a person reverse these, that chronic disease state, you'll be hitting right to the point. Dave, people, you talk to people about, quit smoking. We all now know the effects of nicotine or tobacco use on the lungs and breathing and cancers, right? I often ask, with what we know, how many are making the change? You have younger individuals, okay, cigarettes or not, but okay, they're going to vape their nicotine. you know, that's still not healthy. We've become smarter and hit, well, we're not going to worry about lung cancer, but okay, then it's causing these conditions, a disease process called pneumonitis that I'm talking to a lot of young individuals about. You know, eating healthy. How many people's plates?
Someone is at the front door.
Excuse me. How many people's plates look like a rainbow? I have a circle in my office that has the different building blocks. You have your fruits, your vegetables, your dairy, your carbs, even your sweets, and different dynamics on that pie chart that we're supposed to get in that quantity. But I often tell a lot of people what looks different about that pie chart. And then I have another one. Everything is in its natural state and form. So how do we, and we had a podcast on that a few weeks back, and talking about the processed food and the epidemic pandemic in that regard, and how do we get back to basics? You're right. How can we get back to some of that natural food where people knew what they were getting in their body? Because guess that more meals were coming from home. we've become a little bit busier where now we don't have the time, or the time is not allotted, we're too busy, we have too many things going on, we're too important to get to stick with the basics. And what happens is it changes, and that's why we start to see these metabolic effects. Physical activity, Dave, how many are getting that physical activity of that 150? When I see the guideline for what physical activity is, I say, wow, that's nice to know that that's the minimum guideline to elicit physiological change or benefits. But 150 minutes over a 7-day period with 2 days to resistance training, I say that's great. But Dave, somebody who exercises, that's like the bare minimum. If I were to cut back to that, I don't know if I would feel to the degree where you feel now. Limiting alcohol. I understand, doc. Alcohol, what it causes, yeah, the inflammation on the downtrend with alcohol and what it does to the body. Getting screened was one aspect they had on it. Dave, I won't share, but I think I saw someone like yourself not too long ago that came in, in good health, wants to get screened, wants to know how, I know a lot, but you know what can I continue to do? To stay in tip top preventative care health. You need more of those. That I don't have a reason to go see a doc. I'm not going to go get a prescription, but I want to guess what? If I want to stay on the right track, am I on the right track? Is there anything I'm missing that I need to have had done or considered that, pops up in high frequency during this time of the age? Okay. Taking care of your teeth. Dave, many people don't understand about the mouth and the teeth. It's an open every time you breathe, every time you sleep, your mouth is open. It's open to the external environment. So believe it or not, oral health actually reflects your immune health. And that's why not only that, you have a lot of people that go for procedures and things of the heart for heart disease, that their mouth, or before they can get that knee, their mouth has to be examined, that there's no high risk for infection to the body or joints because of their mouth has nothing to do with their heart. So we think. Okay. And then, Dave, I'm down to my last two, that enough sleep. You're right. How many are getting still in that range of minimum 6 hours to 8 hours, 9 hours nightly? I understand it may not be perfect, and there's going to be a night or two back to back. It's going to be a little bit of sleep deprivation. How many of us on a more of an average, over the average of that week are getting that time frame? If we were really getting that, our mental health, your immune system, you're right. We grow. Many people don't understand. We grow, or we rejuvenate, we regenerate in your sleep. So if you're not giving your body that time to regenerate, rejuvenate, you're already functioning at a deficit, even immune system wise. Think about, a person gets sick, they're tired, but they try to sometimes fight the sleep. I'm just super tired, I don't want to sleep. No, your body is saying, look, for me to fight this off and do what I'm well capable of, if you can back off for a day or two and let me sleep in, let me rest, okay, hydrate well, I can fight this. You just have to allow me to do my job, body. Okay. And then one last component, Dave, many people in terms of preventing disease or what they can do, being aware. Know your family history. That is huge. That is a big thing that is often not weighed as heavily in preventative health. But when I see young individuals and they come in for their physicals, or anybody I'm established, hey, I always, what has run in the family health line that you're aware of that I don't want you to claim? You're not going to, we're not to claim that, but what do we want to keep an eye out for such that we can work in prevention and not claim? Is there mental health? Is there memory loss? Is there obesity? Is there arthritis? Are there these things? And Dave, that's where I say, hey, yes, talking that over with somebody that is, yes, qualified, but not only that, educated enough to kind of lead a person right in that preventative health, I think is key. It was about 10 years ago, I read to this one patient, and they had a kick out of it. Is there was a person saying, you know what, doctor, what runs in my family? I have heart disease, I have diabetes, have high cholesterol. Okay. All of these things run in the family. And then it shows the doctor. The doctor sits back, puts his arms across his chest and said, you know what? I see the problem. What runs in your family is no one. That's the problem. No one's running in your family, which is why there is arthritis, there is obesity, there is heart disease, because all of these, guess what? You guys are all doing the same thing. So educating that person in that regard is huge towards mitigating disease, Dave.
I think you brought up some incredible points there because, especially the last point with the whole family thing. Everybody thinks, well, genetics plays such a huge role. Well, it plays a role. It doesn't mean it can't be changed in how you actually perceive everything. And we always use that as an excuse, as an escape route. I have people come into me, well, yeah, my dad had a bad knee, my grandfather had a bad knee, and so I have this click. And I'm like, that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to break it. You're doing the same things that cause that. And I think that's where people get so misinterpreted because they listen to it's an easy excuse, it's an easy out. It's not my fault, it's somebody else's. So that's what they run to. And unfortunately, that's what we give them. We give them an easy out. And that's what I hear a lot of times. I used to work years ago, 20 some years ago, with a bunch of doctors, and that's what they would say to people. And I'm like, but how is that true?
Mm-hmm.
They're not the same people. Number one, God didn't make them the same. Yes, they might have some DNA that's similar, but it doesn't mean they have to have the same exact things wrong with them. It's
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing that's making it wrong. They're doing the same things. They need to break that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what people need to understand. If you're sick, say you personally, not you, but someone in your
Yeah.
family gets sick, Joe,
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're going to be sick.
Mm-hmm.
You take care of your body correctly and you do the things right, I don't care if they're really, really sick.
Mm-hmm.
That germ or whatever you want to call it
Uh-huh.
doesn't mean it's going to affect you at all.
Yeah.
That's what people misinterpret. They always just blame it. Well, my kid brought something home, so I got it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you only got it because you're doing the same things they're doing. If
Yeah.
you did stuff differently and you took
Mm-hmm.
care of your body, you probably wouldn't get it. The human body does not like to be sick. It's only sick when you like you mentioned very early on, emotional stress, things like that, where it's fighting something else off, obesity, things that
Mm-hmm.
it can't fight off what it's supposed to do. It's
Yeah.
only supposed to fight off the things temporarily and then move on and feel good. But when we're in the chronic state that we're in, lack of sleep, emotional stress, fat, obesity, whatever you want to call it, that's when the body has a hard time then doing the normal everyday things that it should do. Because everybody says, well, I get sick once a year. I'm like, that's once too many. Your body should not be sick once a year unless you're in a chronic state of something's wrong. Your body should be able to go through a process where it goes years without being sick, even a common cold. It should if you're in that healthy state. And that's what I try to get people to understand. I think you agree the same way. I mean, what you're saying is almost spot on. Like I try to tell people, if you're chronically in a chronic state of different things, your body has a hard time fighting so many different fronts. It's like you going to war. Say, all right, I'm going to place Joe right in the middle of, let's say, France or something. Okay. And then all of a sudden, everybody from every single side is coming to fight you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that first person comes, Joe takes him out, no problem. Two people come, yeah, Joe's fighting them, not too much of a problem. Then the third person from a different area. All right, now it's starting to get a little more, and then 4 and 5 and 6 come in. Well, they're probably going to beat you down. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just natural. And that's what the human body goes through when we don't take care of it. So any words of advice for people, trying to finish out here. I know we're
Uh,
probably in the middle of the winter, maybe towards the tail end,
yes.
hopefully.
Uh-huh.
What can people do to say, hey, I was sick in December, I don't want to get this, or hey, I haven't been sick and I don't want to get sick. So what can they do?
Aside from looking at when they have been sick or when they are currently sick, or this notion of sickness, what is going on around where you're right, where you're in exercise conditioning shape? Okay, was blood pressure running high? Okay, was sleep low? Were you emotionally stressed when you had that cold or this time in that time? So for a person, once you're able to take a look at what, hey, taking a step back, then how do you wise up for next time? Next time that child comes home sick, or they are sick, or they're coughing, okay, did we catch it also because we had something else going on that hurt? Okay, we know child is sick. How can I fight it in preventative this time. Maybe I guess what, make sure I get an extra hour or two of sleep those nights there too, because I don't want to get it. Yes, outside of some of the basic things, Dave, you're right. If someone is coughing, you want to, as best as you can, distance themselves. You want to minimize, exchanging of, even kisses that may be common daily. Maybe that day or two, you're right. You don't want to push your immune system to have to even fight something. So if you can minimize it, hand washing, you're right. I was telling you about oral health, that's very important there too. So even, believe it or not, teeth brushing, because a lot of these things sit in our mouth and they take time to breathe. So guess what? If a person doesn't, have good oral hygiene, or something that keeps, and gets that out of their mouth or their system, guess what? It sits there and then wreaks havoc a day or two later. Those things. Some of the basics that I do recommend for majority of people, Dave, that during this, usually I'm on a regimen for myself during a September to March, where I call it in my head sick season, that I've noticed about been doing this the last 8 years. And even during the pandemic period with COVID and masking and not masking, still there was a level of, it's inevitable, if this is truly something that's going to spread to you, that unless you do something, it doesn't really matter. A mask is not going to stop. Okay. So where am I going in that regard? I do recommend for majority of individuals, the vitamin C, I do see as an excellent benefit. Okay. Any excess vitamin C that your body is not able to absorb. So I usually go with 1,000 milligram vitamin C. Okay. Even for children up through 12. Okay. Children below 12, I say, hey, a half. But usually in their multivitamin, or if a person's taking some, or an adult multivitamin, you're not getting enough vitamin C to have a strong barrier. So 1,000 milligram vitamin C, Dave, once a day is very important. I do also make sure a vitamin D. Someone would say, vitamin D, isn't that for bone health? Or yes, it is for bone health. Number 3. Okay, number 1 and 2. Number 1, vitamin D does also help boost your immune system. Okay, it also helps boost your mood, your perception. You're right, Dave. A lot of people walk around in the disease state, but disease is also a perception. Yeah, somebody that claims a disease and you're like, you're not even sick, but they're mentally sick because they always are mentally sick. Helps with their disease state of their mind. Okay, so vitamin D actually helps with a brighter countenance. It helps with energy. I call it sometimes sunlight in a bottle. 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, consideration. 1,000 to 2,000 IU's vitamin D, or it's vitamin D3 over the counter. That's what most people can get. 1 to 2,000. Okay, I do believe in greatly the zinc, a 50 milligram. That's usually my trifecta that I have noticed, even when not only being around sick people, in the office or in the sick wards, or even at home when you have things that just run through the family, that generally when I've had that, if it did catch me, I really didn't know. I've been blessed, Dave. In the last 8 years, things can happen still. In the last 8 years, I've never had a sick day during those times. And it doesn't mean that you're here and there, you don't feel a little bit, but it wasn't where I was, contagious, where I couldn't go on to do what I needed to do that day. Sometimes you still do. Sometimes a preemptive day for yourself. If you're not feeling right, pay attention to your body. That's what I often tell a lot of people. Pay attention to your body. If your body's telling you, you know what, today, Dave, you know what, you need to not say cut it out early, but maybe you need to get to bed an hour or two early. Why? I normally get to bed at 8 and I'm fine, but I'm tired at 6. Sometimes we pay attention to it's our body telling us, get 2 hours tonight because I'm trying to fight something that you don't even know about yet. But if we fight it by you listening to me, you won't even have to worry about it. So paying attention to your body. Okay. I've been working on a book that's called, the body does not lie. I love it, Dave. No matter how much money you have, no matter who your family is or where you come from, no matter what your race is, the body does not lie. I don't care if a person is saying, how people that, Dave, they come in and hey, they come in 2 times a week to your facility, but they're supposed to be doing 3-4 other days a week on their own, wherever they are. And they come in, well, Dave, I'm not getting there, but I'm doing. Are you really? You know, the body does not lie. I do love that. And when you find that, when you look into it, oh, I'm not doing, I thought when I was doing, no. So the body does not lie. What we put in is what we're going to get out, um, even if we are the ones who are lying. But more importantly, are we listening to our body? So, Dave, you know, many I just try to, what is your body trying to tell you? What is your body trying to tell you? But the immune system for those, you know, with as they're getting back and trying to get back to basics. So those three really do help at least allow you to function fairly on good cylinders. And never forgetting, always tell them for every condition, water. Okay, a person, majority of individuals, it's minimum 64 ounces of water we should be drinking. You, myself, we should be close to 100 ounces of water daily. And actually, you know, I practice what I preach, always keep this next to me. This is 128 ounces. I have a goal that I have to get. Every day that I've done this, I felt I've never needed coffee because energy is there, clarity is there. Yes, I'm going to the bathroom more frequently, but that's a good thing. You know, you have to get these, flush out these toxins. But any day I haven't, you do feel a little bit more sluggish. The body is 60% water. Okay. Give it what it's looking for, what it needs to function. So that is always important.
You know, I think that's all perfect advice, Joe, you know, for people out there looking to take care of that. I think one of the things you really hammered home on as we finish up here is know your body. I talk about it all the time. It's a mental part of what I consider Earth Strong, which is spiritual, mental, and physical.
Yep.
The mental part that people miss. I can always tell people, I said, I know if I'm starting to get something to stop it before it gets there. And they're like, how's that even possible? And I'm like, I know my body. The problem is 99.9% of people on this earth have no idea about their body until it's too late. And if we all started to actually sit down and actually understand our bodies,
Mm-hmm.
it would be bad on your end a little bit because nobody
Oh,
would have to go to the doctor. You would be
yeah,
excited because we would be doing our thing we're
yeah,
doing.
yeah,
But
yeah.
that's what would happen. But people don't. So then we run into these problems. So,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Joe, I appreciate you being on, man. And I want people to understand, you know, listen, we're here. You know,
Mm-hmm.
our program's starting up in very
Yes.
shortly, in a little over a month.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start rocking and rolling with what we want to do. And we want to take
Yeah.
this whole approach that we've been speaking about
Mm-hmm.
to another level of how do we get you guys to do these things so you don't need doctors all the time, that you guys can take care of your own health and take your own personal responsibility, get you back, get America healthy. That we've been talking about this well before this whole slogan came out, you know, a year or two ago. You and I have been talking about it for two,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 years now,
Mm-hmm.
about this whole thing. So, Dr. Joe, I appreciate, man, all the stuff that you do, all the stuff that you help people out with. If you need a doctor, this is the man to go to because he's
Oh.
not going to push you all those toxic pills that I call toxic pills on you. He's going to find the approach that's best for you. Is it work? There's no question about it. He and I talk about it. But in the long run, it is the most beneficial way to do it. It's the way God intended us to be. So let's take that because God's the smartest person out there, the smartest
He
being
is.
ever. So
Yes.
let's just take that and let's just run with that way of it instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. We'll just take what he has told us to do, how he created us, and let's run with it. So, Dr. Joe, have yourself a blessed day, man. Bless you for all you do. And for everybody else out there, you guys continue to work hard. Be on the lookout because, like I said, in a little over a month, we're going to be live with our program and you guys are going to love it. So, guys, take care. And Dr. Joe, thank you.
Thanks, Dave, for all you do as well.